Welcome back to Nick Lenz Comic Corner, classic, last non-classics. Excuse me. Uh, this is episode number 2742, Doubleshot 2636. First up, basically, we're talking about a crossover between the Detective Comics, Green Arrow, Robin, and Nightwing, known as Brotherhood of the Fist. I'm also discussing Robin issues 56 to 66 and 74 to 85, along with the penultimate trade, the collect issues that the penultimate that's released for basically Batgirl Volume 1. First up, we're talking about this cross. Now, we're not discussing the Nightwing issue because I discussed already. Now, Brotherhood of the Fist. Part 1 is in Green Arrow Volume 2, 134. Part 2 is in Detective Comics. What number is this one? 724. Part 3 is in Robin Volume 4, number 55, and that's part 3. 4 is Nightwing, and the finale is back to Green Arrow. Basically, Brotherhood of the Fist is this. Basically involves Bronze Tiger, Deathstroke is in the story, though Deathstroke is in his blue and black costume from the mid to late 90s, before Titans basically fixed it by putting back in the classic costume. It was something he sported at the end of his own solo book. It's a very ugly costume, and thank God he doesn't wear it anymore, because it's purely ugly. A very interesting story. Of course, District has basically, there's about this temple, the martial arts thing going on here. By the way, Green Arrow here is not Oliver Queen in these issues. It's actually his son, Connor Hawke, his oldest son. He actually had two sons. Pre-Flashpoint. Post-Flashpoint, the second son disappeared. Who was second son, you might ask? The second son, they never officially confirmed it. There was a child named Robert, who is the son of Shadow, and is presumed to be the son of Oliver Queen, named after Oliver's late father. She did not want, basically, Oliver Queen involved in her son's life, so basically he chose to have it. He has encountered Shadow. Now, Robert, in a way, is kind of morphed into what we now know as Emiko, whose mother is Shadow, and her father is Robert Queen. Yes, this was something that was an original creation, like I mentioned, of the Jeff Lemire run. Yes, he decided to do this where instead of Shadow basically having it with Oliver, that was his father instead was alive. Yeah, it was a weird idea, but this storyline itself was really good. In the case, the main issues themselves, mostly put, is basically dealing with the aftermath of the effects of Cataclysm, where Robin is basically forced to go to Keystone City. He basically he's hanging out with his friends, and then basically he decided to move to Keystone City. They even have a 3-part storyline from 60 to 64 where he teams up with Wally West. We have guest appearances in this storyline by Superman. And the reason why they team up is because the Riddlers team up with Captain Boomerang. But it's a really good storyline. Yep. And eventually it goes back to Gotham. Meets up, and of course you also have the thing in here with Stephanie, where she is kind of cementing her relationship with Tim, though she doesn't know it's Tim Drake yet. But basically with Robin, at one point she thought Robin was cheating on her, so she decided to disguise that was a nurse to find out basically where Robin is. And for some reason, the artist basically thought this big woman was basically Crystal Brown, despite the fact she's much more thinner than that. Yes, I do not know why. Now, I get the fact if she is a nurse, fine. But why the heck would you why would the artist think that Crystal Brown, who is Seth Brown's mother, as this big muscular woman? I'm like, that's not Crystal Brown. That's somebody else who they claim to be Seth Brown's mom. I thought that was kind of weird. I don't blame Chuck Dixon for that at all. And also in these issues, Tim's first girlfriend, Arlena, breaks up with him because she realized too young and she walks off, never seen again. Yes. First time that he has seen her since issue 45. First time at this point in 2 years that they've seen each other. And she decided to break up with him and never seen again. And what happened after this was basically No Man's Land, which I discussed already. In the aftermath, basically we got a fresh new school, which of course, instead of going back to, I think it was Gotham High he was going to. So Jack Drake decided to transfer his son to a private boarding school. And of course, he gets a roommate. Oh yeah, and he said, and his roommate said, "Oh yeah, your servant's here," and it's Alfred, who does his favor for Bruce Wayne. And the whole thing, now he does tell Batman about this, the fact that he might not be out as much because basically he's in boarding school. This was his father's idea, and there was also talk in the book. Now, they did move back to Gotham City, basically just before the events of what the main story would be, No Man's Land. They moved back, purely because of course, Tim's like, I don't like anything about Keystone City at all. It's not his home. Gotham is. And Jack's like, yeah, we're moving back. Yep. And basically, that's kind of we have a little bit of status quo here. Of course, 86, I reviewed already. It's probably the Officer Down story. But really good issues. Not a bad issue, this batch of issues. There's no more annuals. Yeah, there's no more annuals until that day of 2007. Which after that, there's no annuals overall left because Red Robin never had an annual. And the most recent volume for Rob by Tim Drake, it was not Tim, it was Damien. He did have an annual. He had one, as basically just Robin. But for Brotherhood of the Fist, I give this a 10, and I also give Robin Volume 4 issues 56 to 66 and 74 through 85 a 10 out of 10. Really good issues. I kind of wish DC would collect these issues in trade, but they're not there for some reason. I do not know why. It is bizarre of why in the world these issues are not in trade. Okay? Next up we have is basically Batgirl. We're talking about Batgirl, the Cassie Kane Batgirl. Yep. This is basically talking about Kicking Assassins, which collect issues 60 to 64. This was second last trade release issues at the time for Batgirl Volume 1. For some reason, still to this very day, I do not know the reason for this. DC has decided not to finish collecting this book in trade. Not at all. Like, if you're curious, what issues are not in trade? Well, 37 to 57, 3754 is not in trade. Yes, seriously. I do not know the reason for it. It just is not there. But yeah. But in the case of Batgirl, we're still basically having now, I'll discuss more about what happened with the book while I talk about the final trade. Now, in the first issue, called The Hood, she deals with the Penguin, the Brain, and Gemini. Yeah, basically, she's dealing with the Brotherhood of Evil. Gemini. She is the daughter of Madame Rouge. Yes, the famous body-changing woman who at one point claimed to be in love with the Chief. And she wanted at one point revenge against Beast Boy for killing her mom. Technically, Beast Boy was never shown killing Madame Rouge. He just scared her to death. This was technically a first appearance. Let's see. I'm going to try to look here. I see some one issues here. 2001. Okay, so this was the first appearance. Let's see. Let me take a look at this one here. Okay, so this was the first time she appeared since the 2 issues of Wonder Woman. So it's the 3 parts known as the Hood. So yeah, and we also had first appearance in the issues of Brenda Miller. Yeah, and she's basically a brand new supporting character in the book. Only here for these many issues. And Anderson Grabek is basically your writer. Ali Garza is the artist. Yep. It is quite interesting, though, the fact that, well, also for some reason, these issues, we also have Cassie seeing, spoiler, in Bloodhaven. By the way, this period of time, Nightwing was injured, she couldn't technically defend Bloodhaven, so she was sent to Bloodhaven to briefly defend it with Tim Drake, though he went back to town. This happened right after the death of his father. I'll talk more about that later, when I get to the start of basically that period of time. So, yeah, she's seen ghost visions of Stephanie Brown, who at this point people thought was dead. For good reason. Because she was dead. And that wasn't until Chuck Dixon came back to DC Comics and retconned in the miniseries Gotham Underground that she was in fact alive. They expanded upon this in the Robin/spoiler one-shot where she actually faked her death. Her death was faked by the woman who apparently was accused of killing her, Leslie Tompkins. So yeah, the whole thing of her having illusions of her, it's a lie. Yeah. It is kind of weird. Of course, we also see appearances by Deathstroke himself, Lex Luthor, the Calculator, Mad Dog. Yeah. And then we have basically where we deal with Dr. Psycho. It's basically have her take on big name villains, which is great. Also, it seems as though that Oracle is kind of written out of the series, kind of. She's not all here. Basically, you also have dealing with Deathstroke and her dealing with Ravager, which is interesting to say the least. Yes. Of course, Ravager and Cassie came with something common. They're both daughters of assassins. Yeah, Cassie Kane being daughter of David Kane, and, of course, Ravager being daughter of Deathstroke. David Kane's known to fame is not for his assassination skills, but because he slept with Lady Shiva. That's the big thing he's known for, is sleeping with a hot Lady Shiva. Yep, that's what he's known for. Sleep with one woman. Yeah, he did this right after he defeated Lady Shiva's sister. It's like, he defeats her and he's like, I want a child from you. Yep, that's basically how that's how the conversation. Now, here's the strange thing about David King and Lady Shiva. Aside from that one meeting, the thing is, David never told his daughter who her mother was. The fact that at one point Lady Shiva denied it, and then she knew that she was the mother of Cassie Kane, but she never particularly realized it until a little bit later, because she wanted to do it just yet, per se, because she wasn't ready. And during the first couple of years of the book, was dealing with her mother issues. I remember there was a joke during the Brian Edward Hill run for Outsiders, where Cassie is telling Duke, "You think my mom is hot, don't you? You think my mom is hot?" And his response is, "Everybody thinks your mom is hot." And Lee Shiva smiles at that. Which, yes, that's indeed true. Basically, you have one beautiful woman who basically had another beautiful woman. That does happen. I do enjoy these issues per se. It's actually pretty good, to say the least. Sadly put, the next issue to talk about, which will be the final trade, which is Destruction's Daughter, is the final issues of this book. And I'll discuss the reason why the book ended. And, oh boy. And what happened there afterwards. Yeah. Oh boy. So, I think it's going to be pretty much a particular view. Oh, by the way, I give this book, Kicking Assassins, a 10 out of 10. Because I thought the book was actually really good. And plus, I love the fact she's taking on big name villains, not just a minor villain that can't come with a villain of the week. Yes, I do think that the last write of this book basically was really good. So, that's pretty much a particular view. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, to notifications, and do not dislike button. I'm going to do one more. I'm just going to go ahead and just do Too Much Movie Fantasy next. And then I'll work on my next comic corner. Okay, next video. Bye.